Nottingham Trent University, working with you. Proud sponsors of Working Week.
On Working Week this week, we are looking back on our favourite of the series so far.
Yep, including the Ruddington manufacturer that's making aircraft parts to sell all around the world. I hope I didn't hurt that guy when I just hit him just then. Yeah, he seems okay.
This product here is Labyrinth Seal. We manufacture on this site in Nottingham alone.
The business has a goal to get to $1 billion turnover. Our aerospace industry continues to go from strength to strength.
And how about this? The West Bridgford designer building a business from her front room. That's not what front rooms look like.
No, it's bigger than that.
Yeah, it's bigger than that.
It's West Bridgford.
And that way.
This is the one. So the Grand Old Duke of York. Paper, collage, some printing, lots of ink, and then the actual nursery rhyme in the background, all collaged together. That's where it started.
And the Nottingham Filming Company that's making a name for itself in the world of movies.
We're constantly investing in the latest equipment to be ahead of the game and to offer a unique perspective on things, new equipment for high production value. So yeah, there's some exciting times ahead.
Hello, I'm Rob Pitton.
And I'm Des Coleman. I want to welcome you back to our brand new studio that we've had purpose-built.
Yeah, cost a fortune, didn't it? Architects, money, no expense spared whatsoever. But we're looking back on some of our favourite programmes from the series so far. And let's start up, was that the time? Let's start up with the Ruddington Company, an aircraft manufacturer that's making parts which are sold all over the world.
Greene and Tweed in Ruddington. Probably the biggest company in Nottingham you've never heard of.
This we design and manufacture here at Nottingham. You'll find this in...
They make thermoplastic caps and seals, which appear in 90% of the world's aircraft.
We're effectively 30,000 feet above the ground and literally 30,000 feet below, and many applications in the middle.
Greene and Tweed have offices in America, Asia and Europe, but have had a manufacturing base in Nottingham for over 30 years.
We came to Nottingham in the early 1980s. It was actually one sales guy in a shop in Bingham who grew the business and grew the business. We then set up a manufacturing operation in Lenton, which grew substantially. Then we moved to Ruddington, and we've continued to grow this base here, tripling in size our footprint. Personally, I support all of our operations through Europe and North America, so I'm busy across those elements. Majority of the shop floor are local, so East Midlands, Nottinghamshire, Derbyshire, Leicestershire. The graduate scheme really pulls people from as far as Ireland and Scotland, as we've recruited recently.
The company are keen to bring on new talent, working with local colleges to create apprenticeships and train the next generation of manufacturers.
I've been here for 2 years now, and I mainly get up to making production parts for mainly aerospace market, oil field market, other small markets as well.
I started the apprenticeship last September. Since then I've done a level 2 diploma in engineering operations at college. I've just passed that, so I'll be moving on to level 3 next year.
It's our way of developing the skills to be able to work with our specialist materials. We work very closely with Central College. We have a partnership with them, so they help us promote our opportunity, and generally we're working with other businesses to promote manufacturing as a good career choice for the younger generation.
With plans to expand the company and hit $1 billion turnover, Greene and Tweed is fast becoming the worst-kept secret in manufacturing.
We see a growth globally in the semiconductor market. Oilfield markets have some challenges currently, but our aerospace industry continues to go from strength to strength. So we'll always continue to invest in people. That is a core element of the Greene and Tweed business, is its people and its continued development and growth of those people.
And as you notice, we've got David here. David, show us the dance.
Look at that.
Look at that.
He's got all the moves.
He's got all the moves.
Always the same when we're in Clumber Street, isn't it? Anyway, on with the show. And next, we've got a West Bridgford designer who's making a business that's selling all over the world from her front room. Enjoy that, David. That was great.
For many women, starting a family can stall their career. But for Helena Tyce, having her children started a whole new business venture.
It's got a long history. I trained 20 years ago in surface pattern design and worked as a freelancer for a while, and then felt I wanted to do something more altruistic, so I retrained as an occupational therapist, which I worked for about 12 years. Then I had my children, and it all came flooding back.
Feeling rather uninspired by the usual fare for kids, Helena tapped into her previous design training and started creating bespoke pictures and prints that she and her children could both enjoy.
I was working for the first couple of years of the business as a part-time occupational therapist and trying to balance the two. And it was a big step to say, right, I'm going to finish that salaried employment and I'm going to go for it. Lots of courage, no regrets whatsoever.
In just under 7 years, Helena's business has gone from strength to strength, with her products being featured on craft websites, being sold in John Lewis, and even making sales around the world. So this is where it all started then?
Yep, this is the one. So the Grand Old Duke of York, paper, collage, some printing, lots of ink, and then the actual nursery rhyme in the background, all collaged together. That's where it started.
Yeah.
And that's the style that everything else has really followed.
Well, it's quite a range of stuff now, isn't there?
Yeah, we do quite a lot of bespoke stuff. So these cards have been really popular, especially the teacher one at the moment. The idea was, my two were always making a card for Daddy and buying a card for Daddy. So I tried to roll the two into one and created a professionally printed card that you could personalise for yourself.
The impact on Helena's life has been dramatic. She now designs full-time, her products growing up with her children.
It comes from the heart. Good designs will only happen when you really need to produce that thing.
So what would be your advice for anybody thinking, oh, I want to give it a go and start my own business?
First of all, I'd say have the courage and go for it, but don't be frightened to ask people. Get out there and get some feedback about things, and be prepared to go back to the drawing board if what you come up with first of all doesn't work.
For Helena, taking the leap certainly paid off, with plans for new stockists and products in the pipeline.
So what's next anyway? We've had Greene and Tweed.
Yeah.
Helena Tyce, that's
Yeah.
the one we've just had. Oh, yeah.
It's filming.
Maybe we should do this, yes.
Yeah.
Our next piece, go on Des, tell us what it is.
Our next piece is on that piece of paper that I haven't read it yet.
That's right, this is Uppercut Productions, a Nottingham filming company making a name in the world of movies. There you are, it's all down here.
Simple.
This may look like something out of a sci-fi film, but it is in fact a flying camera, and I went to meet the men behind the controls.
Uppercut Productions has been going for about 10 years now. We specialise in aerial filming and photography using these sorts of machines, drones.
It's liftoff in the election, so what's important where you live?
This is the flight controller, so this controls the actual flying characteristics of the helicopter. We have another one over there, another controller with a monitor.
What exactly are we looking at here, these two monitors?
On the left we've got the same feed that the camera operator has got. So I, as the person flying the helicopter, can see what the camera is doing. This one on the right is a mini camera that's facing forwards on the front of the drone. This helps me with orientation, but it also gives me the battery voltage, satellites, altitude, basically all the information from the helicopter.
Do you have to have a special kind of pilot's training, or?
Definitely, yes. Yeah. You do have to have a license, quite a bit of paperwork that's required. So you have to have insurance, a permission for aerial work, all sorts of special permissions that you need to fly in certain areas. And there's a lot of rules you must abide by to keep safe. We do quite a bit of television work, various documentaries, that sort of thing. Feature films, so we have another larger drone. The larger one carries bigger cameras for cinema quality footage. And then we'll also do high-resolution aerial photography, perhaps in London for developers. Before they build the tower, they'll do panoramas to simulate the views.
What exactly is this that you've got here?
Well, this is a stabilised camera mount, and you can see how it's working there. Yeah. It will follow smoothly your movements past a certain point.
There aren't enough national television programmes made here in Nottingham, and don't just take our word for it, our MPs have said the same. But this one is the work of Sally Bowman from the BBC in the East Midlands, who lives in West Bridgford. It's packed with fascinating real-life stories from a tiny doctor's practice in the Peak District, and these gorgeous aerial shots are, of course, from Nottingham's very own Uppercut Productions. Still some way to go, though, to replace the huge business run by Carlton Television on Lenton Lane. That closed more than a decade ago, but our city's filmmaking is definitely on the up.
Now, I don't know if you noticed that, but we're walking. It's the cameraman suggesting. I hope it looks good. Anyway,
Looks a bit dangerous to me, but carry on.
It certainly does. Well, that's it for this half.
But coming up in the second half, we'll be looking at the Nottingham Model Shop just around the corner in Hockley. That's been in business for more than 40 years. Come back.
Sorry, here I am.
It's on the increase, partly because of the interest of the older generation, but also, sadly, decline of shops like this. So there's less and less places in the country for them to go and pursue their hobbies.
And the guy whose business it is telling companies what it's going to be like in the future.
We know that resources are going to be tighter and tighter. Everything from metals, minerals, energy, in the 2020s is going to become a crunch point.
One of Des's favourites from the last series. Do that again, it's great. That's right, what he's trying to say is it's the Nottingham guy who's a Kung Fu expert.
Jackie Chan is a personal friend of mine on the network, and we talk and stuff, and hopefully I'm hoping to secure a main role, or a small role even, in one of his films.
That's it, see you in a short while. It was great that, do that again, go on.
Nottingham Trent University, proud sponsors of Working Week. Nottingham Trent University, proud sponsors of Working Week.
Yes, come on, join us and welcome back to Working Week.
Yep, coming up in this half, the Nottingham Model Shop that's been in business since just after the Second World War.
It's one of the best. It's unusual to find this amount of range and choice in one place at one time.
And from 3D printing to mining on the moon, we've got a glimpse of what life will be like in the future.
Rather than travelling to a store, a customer may go online, select a design, colour, material and size, and then print out their shoes on a personal 3D printer in their own home.
I guess a futurist is someone who helps people understand future possibilities. So you can't predict a single definitive future. If you could, I'd have the crystal ball, I'd be doing next week's lottery numbers every week. But you can help people understand the range of possible futures based upon technologies we know about, based upon where the Earth's resources will be.
And we speak to a load of martial arts experts from Bulwell who've got so many world titles, they are coming out of their Kung Fu derriere.
I'm so relieved you said that.
We produce several world champions. My own son's a two-time world champion in kickboxing. He's also a world champion in Korean patterns and Japanese kata.
Do you want a photo, love?
Ask your mate to take a picture.
Yeah.
Do you want me to take the picture?
Yeah.
This is all I ever get to do. I get to take the pictures with Des and his fans. Look at that, yep. That lovely picture. In the meantime, let's look at our next feature, which is GD Models.
Stand there till you'll be in back of shot.
Your phone, yeah, and you're in shot, which has been in business in Nottingham for more than 40 years. What do you think of that?
Very good.
So that's fully operational.
It's operational. It's got lights, opening doors.
It's a Nottingham institution. GD Models has been open for business since 1946. Back then it was also a toy shop, but over the decades it specialised in selling model aircraft and railway kits and radio-controlled cars, planes and ships. With that much history comes a lot of expertise.
Being American, you see, it's only single-ended, so you have. The doors are actually power controlled.
Manager Malcolm Chiswick has been here for a few years too.
It is very nice.
Yeah, it's great stuff, isn't it? I appeared on the scene in 1967, more or less straight out of school, and been here ever since.
And how much has it changed in that time? Might sound a daft question, but I guess quite a bit.
A tremendous amount. It's been a huge shift. We lost the toy trade. It just wasn't working, so we gave up on the dolls' houses, the prams, the bikes and things like that. Concentrated more and more on the plastic kits, model railways, Scalextric, which were always the big sellers at the time. Pretty soon after that, the first of the radio-controlled cars started to appear on the scene, and that mushroomed rapidly through the 1970s and has kept going ever since.
This is the Vetera 1967 Ford Mustang. It's pretty new out on the market, this one. It's fully electric, fully waterproof, absolutely perfect for anyone really wanting to get involved in the hobby.
It's a business that's still growing, with more than 200 visitors a day to the shop and customers calling in from all over the UK, and with online sales going across the world.
We have two very distinct markets. The radio-controlled cars, tanks, lorries, things like that are very much the younger end of the market, the teens to 25, 30-year-old group. And at the other end we have the much older generation, the sort of so-called silver pound, which is a very, very big growth part of this sort of industry. Because they're the people who remember the sort of things that we're selling. They remember the old cars, the old trains. They're recreating their youth. People collect every model car that they've ever had the real one of and things like that. Seems to be a never-ending stream of interest.
For customers, it's part of a rare breed of shop serving the modelling world.
The biggest appeal is the range of equipment and kits and different aspects of the hobby that are in stock all the time. It's not something that you get everywhere. Having visited a few other shops up and down Great Britain.
The staff are very friendly and the range of models that they sell are excellent for whatever you need.
What are you looking for today then?
I'm just having a general look round, to be honest. Whatever takes me fancy sort of thing.
This is a new one.
All right.
Just come out.
Which one is it?
It's the Southern West Country.
It's the kind of shop that's disappeared in most towns and cities around the country. But after more than 70 years in Nottingham, Dee Models is looking forward to plenty more to come.
And coming up, we have a look at one of our more fascinating clips.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this actually. This is the Nottingham guy who's an expert in what's going to happen in the future. Although he didn't give me the lottery numbers.
No, but he's our future man.
It's a glimpse of the future, talking about the technology that will be available and what we can do with it. And it's all put together by a Beeston man who's an expert in guessing what the next big thing will be for us all. And we've come to a suitably futuristic setting. This is the Jubilee campus at Nottingham University, which I'm sure most of you know anyway. And joining me is Chris Barnett, who works at the business school here at Nottingham University. And Chris, I suppose, you know, I was expecting to have a crystal ball there. You know, you're a futurist. What is a futurist then?
Well, I guess a futurist is someone who helps people understand future possibilities. And then people can make choices based on that.
So how does a futurist actually work with business then?
One is to go and actually just talk to people and try and raise awareness, trying to get people aware that their current planning horizons, most businesses work on a 1-year plan, maybe a 6-month plan. They might claim a 5-year plan, but there's not a lot of focus on it. And one of the biggest wins I think I get in companies to say, let's have a 10-year plan, let's have a 5-year plan, let's be thinking more broadly about the decisions you make.
Welcome to another video from explainingthefuture.com. This time I'm going to talk about the future of payment systems.
Of course, the trick is knowing what all this technological development will mean. Chris might not have a crystal ball, but he has all the tricks of the internet age to explain it.
And yet, in the future, we might not have to present anything at all, with payment depending entirely on the verification of our identity.
I think there's going to be a big change in terms of localization. Many more things we produce close to where people are, within maybe 100 miles of where people live, which was the case throughout the majority of human history. We've just had this fascination with globalization for the last few years, and that's changing. We've had a revolution in the past sort of 20 years of the microprocessor. The internet has changed things, smartphones have changed things. We're about to get a revolution in how we make things with what you could call microfabricators, devices that will allow us to produce things locally. They might be what we now call 3D printers. They might be means of producing things using life itself, what's called synthetic biology. It might be nanotechnology. But the opportunities to turn digital things into physical things on a local basis are really building up. And I think that'll revolutionise business in the next 20 years.
In his work, Chris addresses the big question: what does all this mean for how we'll live and work in the future? Well, this has become a bit of a theme today, isn't it? More of Des's fans. Who have we got, Des?
We've got George and we've got Lenny.
Yeah, and they're going to introduce the next piece, which is about a Nottingham expert in Kung Fu. Can you strike a Kung Fu pose? Go on.
We love it.
In a corner of the Henry Mellish gym in Bulwell, 3 of the world's leading martial arts experts are training. Leading the session is Clive Mackenzie, who spent a lifetime in the sport.
I started off when I was age 15, about 1975. I wanted to get into some kind of training. And of course, this Bruce Lee fan, Enter the Dragon, kicked off, and I sneaked in to watch Enter the Dragon. After seeing Bruce Lee on the big screen, I thought, I've got to do that.
Clive's built a career as a martial arts trainer. He's also been in movies and appears regularly in martial arts magazines.
My career involved, first of all, teaching the raw Jeet Kune Do and martial arts, but I started off doing like celebrities. Once you got one celebrity to train with, it built up other people as well. So that brought in more money and more publicity.
And when he's not getting involved in fights, Clive has a surprising second job as a customer services manager with John Lewis.
When I got took on at John Lewis, it's because I'm a people person. That also crosses over into martial arts because you're dealing with people all the time.
Clive's been enrolled in the Martial Arts Hall of Fame, but you might have noticed the 2 people fighting behind him are quite useful too. He's not the only one at the Bulwell Gym with a worldwide reputation.
Martial arts I've been teaching full-time for the last 23 years. We've got clubs scattered all over Nottingham, Mansfield here. We produce several world champions. My own son's a 2-time world champion in kickboxing. He's also a world champion in Korean patterns and Japanese kata.
It turns out to be something we're rather good at in Notts, but why is that the case? Well, Phil has his own theory.
Kick, block. Tough mining villages, things like that. I don't know how people want to go out and look after himself and start taking a martial art up. It's very popular, in particular where I live, around Mansfield, Kirkby, Sutton and Ashfield, all that area is very popular. There's lots of different styles and different clubs there. And of course, with that quantity, you're going to get 1 or 2 big world champions and things.
Well, funny enough, Phil mentioned people doing karate in pit villages, and I come from a North Notts pit village. I'm just looking at Phil over there nervously. And yeah, I did a bit of karate in the dim and distant past, but Clive is going to show me how they do it in the movies. I've always wondered, Clive, you know, how they actually make it look like they're having a fight. So give us a few tips.
To make it look real, a bit of realism, they use everything wide, so you have to emphasise everything. So if you're throwing a punch, you don't just do a little punch, you have to throw it wide. So for instance, if I was coming to punch your face, I have to make it really wide, over the face. If I come back at you, you put it on like that to block it, and punch, yeah. And it's basically like that, but as you can see, there's a gap there, but you won't see it on camera, yeah. So we do that same again.
Okay, right.
Ready, Rob? And I come round and I swing round, come back.
Hey, that wasn't bad, was it?
Oh.
I'm jumping with
I'm
joy.
not surprised. I'm absolutely shattered. What a programme.
Great show. We've had Future Man.
We've had Dee Models.
Yeah, we've had all the stuff about the business.
The Kung Fu Man too, and not to mention your mobile fan club. How many of them are there?
Well, you need some fans, Rob.
Not much chance of that.
Yeah, fans for Rob Pittup. Yeah, we've got to take her. Fans
Be a
for
long
Rob
time. See you in the next show.
Nottingham Trent University, working with you. Proud sponsors of Working Week.